welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to go over my August wrap-up and my September TBR. So I just want to preface this by saying in August I read mostly manga. I just wasn't really feeling like totally in the headspace in August to read a bunch of books. I did read a couple, but primarily I read manga, and I'm actually going to be posting a haul right after this video that talks about these manga a little bit more in depth. But since you haven't seen me haul them yet, I'm not going to go over a lot of the details about them, just basically what I thought of them and whether or not I think you guys should try checking them out. I want to start off with the few books that I did read in August. One of them was a DNF, and I'm not going to rate it because I only got 30% of the way in before I DNF'd it, so. And that book was A Magic Steeped in Poison. I don't know, I feel like it didn't mesh with this story. I DNF'd it around 30%. I find the magic system was actually really interesting. The world building was potentially lacking a little bit, in my opinion. And I think the thing mostly that made me want to DNF this was that it felt very, very insta-lovey. And that's just not a trope I'm here for anymore. It just really had me uninterested. And it kind of moves really, really slow and is, in my opinion, a little bit boring right at the beginning. I wasn't honestly expecting the romance to take such a major portion of the focus in this book, but it does. So that's just something to be aware of. I felt like it was kind of 75 focus on the romance and 25% of it focused on the actual plot. And I personally found the plot and what was actually happening in the book to be a lot more interesting than the romance aspect of it. So just something to keep in mind. And then I did listen to one audiobook in August, and that was The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. I ended up giving this 4 stars. Out of all of them that I've read, I feel like maybe this one is lower on my list of favorites. Back in July, I listened to the audiobook for Something Wilder, and personally, it's like on my top 3. And while I really loved the dynamic between the two characters in The Soulmate Equation, I just felt like out of all of the other ones that I've read, this one was lower on my list of the ones that I love. Overall, I did really enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars. It's another pretty good book by Christina Lauren. Definitely not one of my all-time favorites, but definitely worth checking out. And as usual, the audiobooks for them are amazing. And then the one other book that I completed in August was The Dragon's Bride by Katie Roberts. This is like a adult paranormal romance book. Heavy on the romance aspect. I ended up giving this 3.5 stars. I did enjoy it. It's really, really short, and I binge read it in 2 days straight. I read about 50% both days. I feel like what have made this one better is actually more plot, and if we got more background and kind of got to know the characters a little more, the romance in this one moves incredibly fast. And while that is the primary focus of the book, you know this going in, I do feel like this one would really benefit from having some more of the focus on the plot. But overall, this was a good time. I think it would have gotten a higher rating from me had it been just a little bit more plot driven and a little bit less character focused, which is unusual because normally I'm a very character focused reader. I definitely feel like a little more focus on the plot in this one would have bumped it up into the 4 or 5 star range because I really liked the characters. I really liked their chemistry. I did like what world building we did get, but I just wish it was a little bit more. And then I did want to mention the book that I'm currently reading, and that's The Ninth Reign. I'm about 25% of the way into this, and I'm really loving it. It's definitely a huge shift from what I read right before this, which was The Dragon's Bride. And this is very, very plot focused. And I really actually love the characters in this so far. Like I said, I'm only 25% of the way in, but I'm really loving this, and I find the world that this is set in to be really interesting. I know this has come recommended by a lot of other fantasy booktubers, and I just haven't gotten around to it until now, but I'm very excited to continue reading this. So far, if I were to rate it 25% of the way in, I would probably give it a 4 star. So we'll see. I am anticipating it'll get even better because the plot is finally starting to pick up a little bit. We've been introduced to some of the characters. Yeah. So I'm reading The Ninth Reign. I'm hoping that I finish that in September. All right, now I wanted to go into some of the manga that I read in August. To start it out, I read To Your Eternity, volumes 1 and 2. I gave both of them 5 stars. This is a new favorite for me, and I'm going to continue reading this. This manga really starts out super fast-paced, super interesting, and I'm loving it so far. I also read Fire Punch number 1, gave it 2 stars. I think I actually rated this 3 stars to start out with, but changed my mind and voted it down to 2 stars. This, at least right out of the gate in the first volume, is bordering on obscene. There's pretty much trigger warnings for everything. The plot definitely feels like a very stereotypical revenge plot, and honestly, I'm not intrigued enough by the characters, world, or plot in order to continue this. My husband has read ahead a little bit on this, and I asked him if it was worth it. Did it pay off to go through all of the grotesque stuff that happens in this? And he said honestly he didn't feel like it did. He didn't feel like it was worth me continuing, since it really frankly grossed me out. So yeah, I gave this 2 stars. Honestly, what little world building and plot we do get is the only reason it didn't get a 1 star. If you are really able to look past a lot of, like I said, very obscene, gruesome, horrific shit in manga, you might enjoy this one, but like, just be forewarned, this is very, very dark. I also read Noragami number 24. This is the newest release. Gave it 5 stars, obviously. As we know, this is my favorite manga series, and I am excited to keep going with this one. I think we're ending soon. Just the vibe I'm getting from the way the story is going. But yeah, definitely still super action-filled, and I'm excited to keep reading this one. It was great. I also read Solo Leveling number 4. I gave this one 5 stars as well. It feels a little cheesy at this point, and I feel like, you know, maybe that's just the premise of the story. It kind of feels that way as it goes on. But I am really enjoying this. It's pretty fast-paced. The characters are interesting enough to me. And honestly, it's just a fun read. I also read Lore Olympus Volume 2. Obviously, I gave this one 5 stars. This is the second volume. Last month, I binge read the first volume all in one night. I did the same thing with the second volume. I'm really loving this, and I know we're getting a third volume, I think the end of this year. So I'm super excited to keep reading. You can read this online, I believe, for free up to a certain point, but I'm just enjoying reading them in print. And then I read Zom 100. I think I read volumes 2 through 5. I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. It's just a good time. It's nothing spectacular in my opinion, but it's definitely enjoyable. The characters are funny. They have some funny stuff that happens. I would describe Zom 100 as like a zombie apocalypse comedy in some ways. But I'm really enjoying this. The art is really cool. I really like the style that the artist draws in. But yeah, I'm gonna keep reading this one. I do have 1 volume. I was hoping to get to in August, number 6, but I didn't, so I'm gonna try to get to that next month. And then I tried out Blue Exorcist, finally. I read the first volume. I gave it 4 stars. I really like this one, and I really want to keep reading. I know this is an older series, and people are gonna be like, duh, of course you liked it. But I just hadn't gotten around to it, and I tried watching the anime. And one of my things with anime is sometimes I like the character that screams all the time, and sometimes I don't. And this was a classic case of I just didn't mesh with the main character being like the, even if he's not angry, he's just screaming all the time type. So yeah, I didn't really enjoy the anime, what little I did get to watch, but I am really enjoying the manga. So I'm gonna keep reading that one. I also tried out Dr. Stone. I read volume 1, gave it 2.5 stars. Look, I know this is really loved by a lot of people, but when my husband asked me what it was like, because he hasn't watched the anime or read any of the manga, I described it as almost like kid version of Rick and Morty is kind of the vibe I get. It's like the super smart genius mastermind who's misunderstood and kind of socially awkward and whatever, but like handsome. And then like his stupid sidekick who needs his help all the time and who doesn't understand how anything works. And like, I feel like maybe the plot in the world that they're set in would have actually, the story would have benefited if the characters were a little less tropey, in my opinion. So yeah, it was just really off-putting, and I was just kind of like, I don't know, I didn't really care about the characters. I was more interested in what was going on with the plot, and honestly the characters were just super annoying and really cliche. So I'm not going to be continuing Dr. Stone. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, and honestly I have better things to read. And then I picked up a newer release called Box of Light. This is the first volume. I just bought this on a whim. I read the synopsis on the back of it while I was at my comic book shop when I picked it up, and it sounded really interesting. Obviously, since Noragami is my favorite series right now, at least, I'm really into like the paranormal. I really like manga and anime that have to do with like the spirit world, like kind of like spooky but like paranormal vibes and kind of like magical fantasy type stuff. So yeah, I really like Box of Light. I ended up giving the first volume 4 stars, and I do want to continue reading this. I don't know when the next one is supposed to come out, but I'm going to keep an eye out for it. It was a really quick read, and it was really like easy, honestly easy to read. And then another one of my newer release favorites, I read Blue Period 1 and 2. Initially, I was put off by this. The art style is like a little bit out of the realm of what I normally like, but I have to say, this story follows art students, and the main character's trying to get into art school. I've really been enjoying this one, and I'm going to keep reading it. As a former art student, I'm really enjoying the things that this series is exploring and all the emotions that the characters are going through. I find even the side characters to be super interesting. And I'm trying to get my husband to read this one because I feel like he'll really like it. He was a fine arts major in college. So I feel like he'll really relate to the characters and really enjoy this one. It's just getting him to pick it up. Yeah, so number 1 and 2 I read in August, and I rated them both 5 stars. This is like an all-time favorite so far. I also picked up a newer release, A Galaxy Next Door. This is one I initially wasn't that interested in, but I was really wanting to kind of dive into some of the manga romance type books without it being like super adult, and this one's really cute. I'm really enjoying this. I gave it 4 stars so far. I read number 1 and number 2. Yeah, number 1 and number 2 in August. Gave them both 4 stars, and I really want to keep reading this. I've had a little bit of trouble in stores finding volumes 3 and up, so I'm going to try to order them online and see if I can get them. But yeah, definitely want to keep reading this one. It's really cute. I really like the characters, and the premise is super interesting. I just love this. I love this story so far. It's really like, if you're looking for a really kind of fluffy, fun, just cute read, this one is for you. I also picked up Ascendance of a Bookworm number 1, and I ended up giving this 3 stars. I think it's just fun. Honestly, there's nothing super special about this one. But as a bookworm, it is like an isekai that I kind of was just interested in picking up. And the main character is a little girl instead of like an adult. So it is just really fun and cute. I'm enjoying it. I'm going to keep reading it, but like at a very casual pace, to be honest. I did pick up and read Toilet Bound Hanako, volumes 14 and 15. Gave them both 5 stars. I feel like this isn't obvious because I've rated this entire freaking series 5 stars. And I am finally starting to collect them in paperback editions. I have to get like, I think I have 12 through 15 right now, and I have to get everything from like 12 backward, but I'm just slowly gonna buy those because I've already read them and I don't really need to be spending cash money, so I'm gonna just use gift cards to buy them. That type of thing. But yeah, Hanako continues to be a wonderful fucking series, and I'm so glad I gave this one a second chance. When it first came out, I think 2 years ago now, 2020, I was kind of put off, I'll be honest, because of the title. I thought the art style was really beautiful, and when the anime came out, I thought the art style was really cool. But then I was just kind of put off from really enjoying it because it felt really cringy. But I really love this one, and this is like second only to Noragami. The two of them are definitely my all-time favorite series now. And I've actually started watching the anime for Hanako and really enjoying it, mostly because I've already read everything that's happening. So it's kind of just like watching an adaptation at this point for me. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this one. I'm going to continue reading this. I have future volumes on pre-order already, so I'm excited to keep going. And I really hope this one continues for quite some time because, first of all, the art is extraordinary. Second of all, the story is actually really cute. And the point I'm at is actually, I don't know, it feels a little sad. So, yeah, anyways, I'm going to keep reading Hanako. I gave volumes 14 and 15 5 stars. I feel like that's pretty standard here. And a new series I did pick up kind of on a whim, based on the art. I really like the art style, especially on the covers. It's gorgeous. Was Ghostly Things, volumes 1 and 2. I am trying to get to the 3rd volume in September. I think there's only 3 volumes out right now, but I rated it at 4.5 stars simply because we're just getting started in the story. But this is another one that if you like spirit realm type stuff, if you like the kind of supernatural the same kind of themes and vibes almost as Noragami and Hanako, then you'll like ghostly things. I'm really enjoying this. This is probably going to be a new favorite. I'm really hoping it continues to be written and published. I'm really nervous that this one is just going to die out because nobody's that into it. The art is really good, in my opinion. The story is even better. And then I just want to go into my September TBR. I'm going to try to keep it pretty short this month. I don't really know in terms of books. There's a couple that I know for sure I want to get to this month. So yeah, going into the manga, I want to still read Dorohedoro #1. And I also want to read Killing Stalking Volume 1. And this is a series. I bought the paperback editions that they just released, but I did read this online when it first came out. So I've technically already read this, but I'm just going to reread it because it is a freaking trip. I want to read A Galaxy Next Door #3 at least. I want to read the next volume that I need to get to. I might read more. It depends on how fast I get through them. I do want to read Blue Exorcist #2. I own this one already. Just another series I want to continue reading. I also want to read Blue Period #3 and 4. I do have these, so I'm hoping to get to them pretty soon. Blue Period can take me a little while to get through. It is, for a manga, it's on the wordier side, so it is a little bit reading heavy. I also want to read To Your Eternity volumes 3 through 5. I do own these. I just bought them. So yeah, I'm excited to keep going in that. Where I left off was pretty intense. Not really a cliffhanger, but you know, it was a pretty intense point in the story, so I'm excited to keep going. And like I said, I do want to read Ghostly Things #3. I have to order this one because I've had zero luck finding it in shops. So yeah, I'm going to order that and I'm going to read it in September. And then I do want to read Goblin Slayer Side Story Volumes 1 and 2. I do own these. I have not even unwrapped them from the shrink wrap yet. And in terms of books, I only have 3 on my list. One being one that was on my August TBR I didn't get to, and that is When Stars Come Out by Scarlett St. Clair. I just didn't get to this one in August. It's her newest release. I do want to get to it in September. The other 2 would be Nona the Ninth, which comes out September 13th. So I have a week or 2 until this one gets here, but I do have it on pre-order, and right now with my pre-orders, they tend to take priority. So I drop everything that I'm doing and read it immediately. So yeah, I'm really excited to read that one. I am cautiously optimistic about the 3rd book. I really loved the 1st book, Gideon the Ninth, but the 2nd book was kind of teetering in the mid category for me, mostly because I was super confused. The last book on my I definitely want to read this in September list is A Deal with the Elf King. This is on KU, so I'm gonna read it on there, but I'm just dying to get into more Kova, so I still need to read the 4th and the 5th book in the Air Awakened series, and I'm dying to get to those too. Since they're on KU, I'm just going to go ahead and read the new Married to Magic series because I really want to. I'm dying to read this. Every time I see it on my list, I'm like, oh my god, but I'm reading something else. No, I'm going to make it a priority in September. We're going to read at least the 1st book in the series, okay? So yeah, so A Deal with the Elf King. I'm dying to read this. I'm dying to read some more Elise Kova in September. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these manga as well and what you thought. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your week. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.